Hi everyone, thanks so much for joining me this evening. I think that's about everyone here, so we'll get started. Firstly, just wanted to introduce myself. For those of you that I haven't met yet, I'm Ross. I'm the founder of ASAP Watercrafts, and we make electric jet boards that you lay on and they blast you through the water. And we make these for rescue and for leisure. Thank you so much for joining me this evening, and thank you also for all of your support and your investment through our investment campaign, which is live on Crowdcube at the moment. So this is my first time doing a webinar, so I'm not really sure how to go about this, but I wanted to start off just giving you an overview of this investment round. There should be a chat that you can access. And if you have any questions, if you could post your questions in the chat, and then at the end I'll go through your questions and try to answer these as best as I can. I'm working from home at the moment, which feels like the right thing to do in the coronavirus crisis that we're in. So I'm just tucked away in my spare bedroom at the moment. So this, for those of you who aren't familiar with this investment round is all about a big sales push and growing our sales internationally. We've already launched with dealers, mostly in the European market, and we want to do more of that, and we want to grow sales and launch into new areas, launching with new dealers and supporting the dealers that we're working with to grow sales of both our leisure and our rescue boards. We've also been working with dealers more internationally in places like Australia and Dubai, and places outside of the European market, and we want to do more of that. So this investment round is all about a big sales push for this summer and next summer. And growing sales in both rescue and leisure. This investment round is also about reducing our product costs. So our boards are quite expensive to make at the moment, and we've put together a plan of how we can reduce our product cost by at least 30%, increasing our margin. This also gives us the option of reducing our retail price as well, should we feel we need to within the market. We're confident with this plan that we can reduce the product costs because we've been working with a company called Productive, who call themselves the Proving Factory in Coventry here in the UK. And they've done a feasibility study with us where we had our product out in bits and we showed them everything. And their outcome of that feasibility study was that they're confident we can reduce the product cost, the bill of material cost, by at least 30%. And they reckon that figure could be more like 40-45%, because there's lots of ways that we're over-engineering the product at the moment, and there's lots of ways we can reduce cost out, both by purchasing parts in higher volume, but also stripping down some of the engineering of the product and reducing cost in the bill of materials. Also, this investment round is about some small production improvements as well. So we work with a production partner in Weston-super-Mare who assembles our boards, and we do some of the assembly in-house in our studio in Nottingham as well. And there's a few small ways that we know we can improve production, and this is mostly through things like stock management and working with our supply chain, and also improving our standard operating procedures to make that assembly process much slicker. So that will be working with our production partner. And the last part of this investment round is providing us with some working capital so that we can hold stock of the products, so that we can ship them faster to our customers and not miss out on those fast orders. So one of the things we found last summer was that we missed out on a few orders at the start of summer because customers through our dealers wanted their boards fast, and they wanted them for a holiday or for a boat trip, and we weren't able to deliver them quick enough last summer because we were taking the order, taking the 50% deposit, and then we were asking for the remaining 50% just before shipping. but we were constrained by our lead times, which can be 8, 10, 12 weeks from our suppliers. So part of the reason for this investment round is to give us some working capital so that we can hold products in stock, so that those fast orders we're not missing out on, and we can ship products to customers who want it for a time-sensitive order. So that's what this investment round is all about. So I wanted to just give you kind of a very brief summary of the different areas that the investment round is about. And again, I want to say a huge thank you to all of you who've supported us and invested with us. Your support has been absolutely incredible, and because of your support, we're now overfunding on Crowdcube, and I'm so pleased to say that we've made it to that 100% goal. So thank you again for your support. So I think what I want this webinar to be about is about your questions and answering some of your questions. So if you have any questions that you want me to answer specifically, if you could put them in the chat section on this webinar, and I'll try to answer those as clearly as possible. I think the first question I wanted to address is something that lots of investors and everyone in our network has been asking me is how will the coronavirus impact ASAP Watercrafts? And this is a difficult question to answer because we're still very early days, but what we do know is that it will have a big impact on this summer and the sales projections that we originally had for this summer. One of the really positive things that we can take from the corona crisis is that our running costs are very low, and we're a small company, and we can easily adjust our running costs and reduce down our costs to flex to the situation. We've been speaking this week with all of our suppliers and checking in with them to find out what's the latest update with them and their production. And we found that the response has been really positive, and that most people are going to have a small delay, but not a big enough delay that will impact our production and us delivering products, which is really positive. Something also to note is that so far our sales have been about 50% leisure and 50% rescue. So this summer we're not expecting to see an impact on the rescue side of our business, but we will of course see an impact on the leisure side and selling to hotels, resorts, water sports centres, and we expect those sales to be down this summer because of the coronavirus, but then we expect those to pick back up for next season. Part of what we want to do for this summer is we want to look for the opportunities in this crisis, and one of the big opportunities that we can see is the staycation, the UK holiday market, because we can see that once we've made it through this tough period of lockdown, that this summer we can see that the people are going to want to be holidaying in the UK and having new experiences close to home and booking last minute holidays or staycations, and that's where we want to focus for this summer. And we want to focus on the rental and experience part of our product, working with people close to home and growing sales that way, and setting up partnerships, working with people running jetboarding as experiences close to home. And that's the opportunity that we can see with the coronavirus crisis, and we can see that the next summer is going to be a much better season for us for the leisure side. So our focus this summer will be shifting to the rescue side. So that hopefully leads on nicely to a question that I've received here from one of our investors, which is asking about how big is the rescue side of the business. So like I said, at the moment our sales have been split 50-50 between rescue and leisure. So because our focus this summer will be shifting more to the rescue market, we expect to see the rescue side grow. What's really interesting is our product was originally a rescue board and designed for rescue use, and we've adapted it for leisure use. So we still get a lot of interest in the rescue product because there's a lot of history online about us developing the product and it being a rescue tool. So the rescue market, we want to work closely with rescue dealers and distributors to grow that side of the business and to reach their network. We've found that the rescue market is big in places like the Netherlands, in places where rescuers can use our product for inland water rescue and difficult to reach areas. So that's where we want to grow the rescue market. And what we found is that rescuers love to use our rescue board as a quick launch board, which can be launched anywhere and is generally quicker to launch than a jet ski or a small boat. So that's where our rescue product fits into the market. And some of the questions we've been asked from rescue experts is, can our board be used in the surf? Can it be used in this condition, or can it be used out at sea? And something that we always say is that our rescue board is one tool of many different tools that a rescuer might want to use, and it's down to the rescuer to choose how our board best fits the scenario, and it's down to their training for them to decide which tool out of their toolbox they use. Our board is particularly good for rescue in close to shore rescue, so up to 400 meters, and particularly in a scenario where you need to launch something quickly and get to someone as a first responder. So a really nice example of this is our customer in the Netherlands who has a fleet of our rescue boards. They told me a story of how they used our boards to rescue a kite surfer that was stuck and had dumped their kite in the water. They have our rescue boards on a pickup truck, reverse the pickup truck down and quickly launch the board, and they managed to rescue the kite surfer and bring them back much quicker than the lifeboats or the small ribs could reach that person. So that's a really nice example of how our rescue boards can be used as a quick launch rescue tool. An area of the rescue market that we think is going to be really big is kite surfing. One of our rescue customers is a kite surfing school, and they bought our rescue boards because they needed a powered rescue craft to be a UK kite surfing school, registered school. So as part of that qualification, they had to have a powered rescue craft. So that's a key bit of information that we want to market our rescue boards to other kite surfing schools who also need that same qualification as a UK registered kite surfing school, or across Europe as well. So by them having this powered rescue craft, it means that they can teach more students per instructor, which means more revenue for them. So there's a really nice business case there for kite surfing schools to be able to have our rescue boards and increase their revenue and increase the number of students that they can teach at a time. So if I wanted to move on to the next question now. Somebody asked, how do we plan to reduce product costs by 30%? So this is one of the areas for this investment round. We've said that we'd like this investment to be able to reduce the product cost. So I just wanted to go into a little bit more detail on that. There are some big hitters on the product where we know we can reduce costs in the product. So those are the battery and the motor. So at the moment, we buy our battery packs from a premium UK supplier, and we also use a clamping mechanism on the cells. So normally batteries are spot welded together. Our battery packs are clamped, and this means that the clamping mechanism can be released and cells can be replaced at the end of life, which is a really nice eco feature and means less battery waste. And those batteries can be used for energy storage or tested and replaced with new ones to remanufacture the battery pack. So at the moment we're buying a very premium battery pack. We wanted to do that from the start because we wanted a battery which was high quality and that we could trust and know would give us really good performance. However, that comes at a price, and we've had quotes from other battery suppliers and found that we can make huge savings on that battery pack cost whilst maintaining the same high quality. We might have to move away from the clamping mechanism to spot welded cells, but this would save us hugely on the bill of materials of the product. Another big hitter of the product is the motor. So again, similarly, we pay a very high cost for our motors at the moment. And that's because we work with a few different people in the supply chain. So we buy the stators and the rotors, which are the inside of the motor, from at a retail cost from one supplier. Then we give that to another supplier to wind the stator and install into our motor, and then we in-house install the sensors and tune the sensors. And then we test it. So there's quite a few different stages in building that motor. We've identified that we can save a huge amount by making our own stators and rotors. So this means a small tooling cost, but that means we can reduce the cost heavily instead of buying those at retail price and then installing them into our motor design. There's lots of other little parts on the product which are heavily over-engineered. Everything from throttle levers, which are made in quite a prototyping way and over-engineered. There's lots of other small little points like that, and they all add up to this at least 30% cost reduction in the product that we know we can achieve. And as I mentioned earlier, we did a feasibility study with Productive, the Proving factory in Coventry, where they really kind of proved our plan and showed to us that yes, we can reduce at least 30% of the product cost, probably even more with their help, and that's part of what this investment round is about. So I'm just going to read out another question that I've received here from for one of you, our investors. It says, how does demand UK leisure market differ compared to European market countries like Portugal, Italy, Spain, who have the warmer climates? Do you think they will be negatively impacted when the UK leaves the EU next year? So it's a very good question. Thank you. And it's interesting how questions have shifted from how will Brexit affect our business to how will coronavirus affect our business. So you mentioned, first of all, how does the UK leisure market differ compared to the European market? The UK market for leisure, for our product, we have a really short season. So for example, water sports centres like Newquay Water Sports Centre down in Cornwall operate from Easter time, April time through to September, and then the rest of the year they really close up shop and they don't employ any staff. That's quite a long season for a water sports centre because they're in a beautiful location in Cornwall. A lot of other places in the UK will only really operate during that school summer holiday season. So they've got a very short amount of time where they could use our products. So what does that mean from a rental experience perspective? That means that they've potentially only got 3, maybe 4 months a year where they need to earn all of their revenue to pay for the costs of the boards. This is where potentially the leasing quotes that we've got that we can offer to customers might come in helpful, because we can help them spread that cost out throughout the year to help with their running costs. Compared to, your question was, how does that compare to countries like Portugal, Italy, Spain that have warmer climates? They have much longer seasons, so it means that they have a much bigger potential to earn revenue from our boards, or from renting them out, or if you're a private customer, using them as well. So that's the main difference, and that means there's a much bigger market for our boards in places like France, Italy, Portugal, Spain. So for example, our biggest selling dealer last summer was in the south of France. Their customers are yacht owners who bought our wave jam boards as toys that they could throw in the water and use off the back of the boat. We want to grow the rental side of our business in places like Portugal and Croatia and Spain, because that's where we see the big potential, because like I said, they have that longer season. And places like one of our customers is in Dubai, where their season is really all year round, or places like the Caribbean, where they have an all year round season. That's where we can expect to see larger sales revenue than in the UK. Having said that, because the UK is close to home, it's easy for us to access and low cost for us to acquire those customers. So that's why we're looking to work with people like Center Parcs and Haven Holidays for this summer to run a trial at their resorts. And also look to work with more people like the kite surfing customer in the UK and Newquay Water Sports Centre. One question which I wanted to answer, which is a question we often get asked at shows or from customers, is how are our boards used for rescue? So our boards can be used for rescue in multiple different ways. The easiest way is someone can hang on to the handles on the side and be pulled through the water if they're able to still swim and grab onto something. Or alternatively, the rescue floats can be popped out the back and could be handed to someone. That's great if you want to keep someone at arm's length. It's got a 2-meter tow line, so you can keep them away from you, or clip them underneath their armpits if they're unconscious and drag them back. You can bring one arm over the boards and drag someone back that way, or if they're completely unconscious, bring them on top of the board and speed them back to shore. Another question that the potential customers often ask is, what's the difference between the rescue boards and the leisure boards? So the main difference is that the rescue board has that removable rescue float, which you can pop out and rescue someone with. Also the colours and branding are rescue branded. Also the rescue board has rescue programming on the throttles. So for the rescue board, you can drive one-handed so that you can use your other hand to rescue somebody in the water. Whereas with the wave jam leisure board, you have to have both hands on the throttle, and then you go up a speed by pulsing the right one, and then down a speed by pulsing the left one. And then if you let go, everything cuts out and stops. So they're the main differences. We make two wave jam versions, a small battery pack and a large battery pack version, and then we make the rescue version as well. So there's 3 products in the range, and we'd like to expand that further in the future. So one question that I've received here in the chat is, a big challenge I've heard for EVs is the weight of the batteries. Are your boards affected by this? Does it compromise how easily it is used for kids, for example? So it's a really good question, because battery pack technology is driving all electric vehicles at the moment, whether it's cars or electric bikes, and battery technology is getting lighter and lighter, and even in the time that we've been developing our boards, we've seen multiple different choices of battery cells that we can use, and every year new cells come out which are lighter weight and offer the same power. So that means when a lighter weight battery cell comes out offering the same power, it means you save weight, but also it means you could potentially use less of the cells if that battery cell has more power than it did a previous version. So yeah, the main weight of our boards is the battery pack and the motor. So as battery technology gets lighter, we'll be able to reduce the weight of the boards. We've tried to save weight in lots of different areas. So the molded foam part of the boards has been we use that EPP lightweight material to try and save as much weight as we can, but also get the durability and the buoyancy in the water. So that was part of our engineering challenge on the boards, that we know the battery is going to be the main weight. How can we save weight in as many different areas of the boards as possible? So I'll just go back to your question. You said a big challenge I've heard for EVs is the weight of the batteries. Are your boards affected by this? Does it compromise how easy it is to use for kids, for example? The weight of the boards and the weight of the battery pack doesn't compromise how kids can use it in the water, because actually once the board's in the water, it's very easy to maneuver, and a bit like if you try picking somebody up in the water, weight in water is very different to weight on land. So you can easily pick someone up in water that you couldn't necessarily pick up on land. So once the board's in the water, it's very easy for kids to use and to drive. But I appreciate that they might need some help getting it to the water. So that's where adults can help with launching it or using the transport wheels that we offer. So in the future, I can see that we'll be able to make our boards much lower cost and also lighter weight as battery technology becomes lighter and lighter. So for example, at the moment we're using the very best battery cells we can get in terms of power and lightweight. And when a new cell comes out, which will be the same weight but more power, that means we can just use less battery cells, which means a weight saving as well. So there's loads of potential there to save weight. One of the reasons we need such a big battery pack is to move things through water takes an incredible amount of power. So the battery packs, for example, I've got an electric scooter, and I absolutely love my electric scooter and drive it everywhere. The battery pack in that is probably about a third of the size of our battery pack in our boards. Yet it goes a much longer range than our boards, and that's just because the power needed to move something on land is much less than the power needed to move something in water. And a really nice comparison for this is that if you were to swim at your absolute top speed in the water, you'll notice that coaches in a swimming pool will just be casually walking alongside someone, because it just takes a lot more energy to move things in water. So that's why we need that big battery pack to power it. So I think I've come to the end of most of the questions there. But if anyone else has any more questions they'd like to ask, I'll give you just a couple more minutes to put them in the chat. So like I said, a huge thank you to everyone for your support, and thank you for investing and being part of this. We're really excited about the next steps of the business and growing the business and growing sales internationally. And I'd love to continue speaking with you more over the next few weeks. And if you have any more questions, the investment round is only going to be open it for the next week, or we might close it earlier depending on interest that we receive. So I've just received one more question in there, so I'll finish up on this one. So Stuart Green, you've asked, have your sales stopped as a result of COVID-19? We've certainly found it more difficult to get hold of customers over the last few weeks, because most of the customers and dealers we've been working with have had to shut down, and they've been working from home, and we've found that we haven't had as much contact or response as we would have liked, or as we would normally have. So because of that, our focus over the last few weeks has been more on the cost reduction of the product. Most of our time has been spent on the investment round as well the last few weeks. So we have still been following up on sales, but it's still early days to tell what the impact of coronavirus will be on our sales. We've got lots of people that we still need to follow up with over the next few weeks, and we found that it's been valuable to give those people some time to adjust over the last week or two to working from home and having to shut down their businesses temporarily, and then we'll be following up with them ahead of this season. So yes, we do expect sales to be lower for our leisure product this summer. As I said at the start, that was the first question I started with. How will coronavirus affect ASAP watercrafts? We do expect to see lower leisure sales this summer. What we don't expect to be as affected as much will be the rescue side of our sales, which has been 50% of our sales so far. And we want to embrace the opportunities that we can find this summer, which will be in rental experiences and in close to home staycations, people looking for new experiences for those last minute holidays that they're likely to book for this summer. So hopefully that's answered all of your questions. I'm happy to speak with you individually over phone calls or emails. And again, I just want to thank you all for your support, and thank you for joining me on this Thursday evening in isolation at home as well. And hope you're all well and keeping yourself safe, and look forward to speaking to you more soon. Thanks.